Hi and welcome back to my channel. As promised, today I'm sharing my watercolor palette setup with you, and I changed my palette because I bought a color mixing book, and that's the reason why I made a new one. I'm using the tin from Rosa Gallery. It's a watercolor brand from the Ukraine, and I really like the quality of their watercolors, and they are super affordable, and I really love this box. I have already set up all the colors in my tin, and I have ordered them in a rainbow order, and I used the colors that are mentioned in the book, and I add my own favorite colors. I put this out because I want to place both of it in front of my camera so you can see everything. I will start swatching the colors, and I will let you know which color is mentioned in the book. And the color sheet I made myself with my stamp set. It's the Swatch It stamp set. I will link this up in the video description. And here is the book that I mentioned, and I really like this book because it gives a lot of recipes for mixing colors. It's about acrylics, oil, and watercolors. And here is the list with all the watercolors you need when you want to do the recipes on the following pages. I do not have every single color that is mentioned on the front sheet, but almost every color. There are about 5 yellows, I believe, and I don't have these many yellow colors, so I will go with that what I have in my stash, but I will tell you which ones are mentioned in the book. Okay, let's start with the lemon yellow, and I'm using watercolors from different brands. The ones I already had at home. I didn't buy anything for the palette setup, and this is the lemon yellow from Rosa Gallery. I just take a note about the color name and the brand, so later when I want to know which color it is, I can just have a look at my color sheet. The lemon yellow is also mentioned in the book, so that you need that one. And next color you need is the cadmium yellow light, and I have one from Schmincke, and it's a really transparent yellow. I really love this one, and I use it most of the times. The book also says you need some cadmium yellow medium and cadmium yellow pale. I don't have these both colors, and it also says you need some Naples yellow. This is also something I don't have, but I will order this color because it's different from the others. The ones I'm swatching out now is the cadmium yellow deep, and it's one from Rosa Gallery. It comes with the set where the tin is, where I have the tin from, and there were 28 full pens in this set. And this is also a color you need. So you need, let me count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 yellows. That's really much, I think. I don't know if anyone needs so many yellows. Next, I'm using a golden yellow. This is also one from Rosa Gallery, and you can see that I used it already a lot because it's super transparent and a wonderful warm yellow color. And this is not mentioned in the book, but there is mentioned gamboge, and I think it is pretty similar, and I use this as a substitute. And I will write the name beneath that color when I'm done with the palette, so that I know which color it should be in the mixing recipes. Next one is Cadmium Orange, and this is also on the list. The Cadmium Orange is also from Rosa Gallery. Next color is Vermilion, and I didn't have this in my palette so far, and this is the one from Mijello Mission Gold. I am a big fan of the Mijello watercolors. They are super good quality and I really love them, and this was also the only Vermilion I had in my stash, and it's also on the list in the book. Next red is the Cadmium Light Red. I am a little bit wondering because the Vermilion and this red look so similar, so I am not 100% sure if I will keep both of them in my palette. I will see what I'm doing. It sometimes of course depends on the brand. The book don't mention a specific brand, and you have always some variations in the colors, so that might be the reason, and I will see if I want to change something with the reds. The next color I have in my palette is not mentioned in the book, but it's one of my favorite colors. It's the Quinacridone Red from Mijello Mission Gold. And I love this red. It's such a beautiful red. It's super transparent and bright, and it's a really nice color. Also on the list is the permanent alizarin crimson, and I don't have this specific color, so I looked which one would be similar, and I decided to use a carmine red, and this is the one from Rosa Gallery. The next color I'm adding is the Permanent Rose. It's also mentioned in the book, and unfortunately I didn't recognize that I am out of camera, but I will soon change that. My Permanent Rose is from Mijello Mission Gold. The next color is not in the book, but it's one of my favorite colors. Also, it's from Schmincke, the Brilliant Purpur. I have no idea how it's called. Brilliant Purple maybe in English. I just have the German words on the, or I just have the German words in mind of the Schmincke colors. Of course, they have the English writing on their tubes. I really love this color. It's super vibrant, and it's not that neon than the Opera Rose, but it's very transparent. Also not on the list is the Permanent Red Violet from VanGogh. I also love this color. I love all pink watercolors, and I never can decide which ones I love the most. It is a little bit purple, as the name says, and it's a really nice color. It's transparent, and I'm a really big fan of the VanGogh watercolors. The next color I'm swatching is a substitute for mauve. Don't know if I pronounce it right. It's a violet color, but it's a little bit I would say a a muddy violet. I don't really know. I just googled it and I thought this is the color that looks most similar to the color that is mentioned in the book, so I used it as such. And next in my palette is the Opera Rose. It's from Rosa Gallery and it's a really pretty color. It's a neon pink and I really love this to use in my abstract paintings. Of course, this is also not on the list. Also a color that I have added because I like it is the Quinacridone Purple from VanGogh. And the next violet I'm adding is a substitute for the dioxine violet. Not sure if this is right pronounced. And I'm using the normal violet that comes in the set from Rosa Gallery. And I think it matches the color really well. I googled it also and it's kind of a bluish violet, so I think I can use this instead of the color that is mentioned in the book. The next two colors I am adding are also not on the list of the colors you need, but I love these colors. They are also from VanGogh and there are two of their granulating colors. It's the Dusk Pink and the Dusk Violet, and these are so awesome. They have this nice granulation and you can use them for shadowing and creating darker areas in your paintings. And the nice thing about the VanGogh colors is that they are super affordable. They are not very expensive and have a really good quality, so I would definitely recommend those for beginners. Now we are coming to the blues of the palette. And I start with the Cobalt Blue, and this is on the list in the book. And you see that it's almost brand new, and I normally never use Cobalt Blue, so I didn't have this in my go-to palette. But we will see. Maybe I will use it for mixing colors. I don't like it because it's very opaque, and I also am not a big fan of the real blue colors. I love turquoise, but not blue. It's the same with the ultramarine blue. I had it in my palette, but I rarely used it. This blue is the cerulean blue. Well, it's not the original cerulean blue because I don't have a cerulean blue. It's the bright blue from Rosa Gallery, but I think this is close to a cerulean blue. And also the next blue I'm adding is not the original color. It's called blue in the citrine, I can't pronounce it, and it's from Rosa Gallery as well, and I use it as a substitute for phthalo blue. And the next blue is indigo. I love indigo. It's one of my favorite colors and I use it very often. It's not on the list, but I love to use this to mix a black. I use a indigo together with a dark brown or with a warmer red, and this creates a really beautiful black color. I think a mixed black looks not as flat as a black pigment such as the ivory black. The indigo I've used here is from VanGogh. And this turquoise is my absolute favorite color. It's from Schmincke, it's the Cobalt turquoise, and it is not on the list. Yeah, it's a little bit opaque, not very much, but I love this color. And I'm adding another turquoise to this palette, although there is no turquoise on the list in the book. And it's from Rosa Gallery and it's their turquoise, and I love this one. I also use it a lot. And this is a great color because when you use the wet and wet technique and you go in with that turquoise, it pushes away all the other colors and it gives you so interesting effects. Next color I am adding is on the list, and it's the Viridian Green. It's a standard color, I would say. It's almost in every palette, and I use the one from Schmincke. Also from Schmincke is my next color, and it's a May green, and it's not on the list, but I really like this bright green, and so it's the reason why I added to my palette. I'm really struggling with greens. It's a big problem for me because I feel almost every green directly from the pan or from the tube doesn't look good. So I always mix it with a little bit of brown or blue to create a different green, but I'm almost never happy. This is the Sap Green from VanGogh, and this is also on the list of the mixing book. And the Viridian Green, the Sap Green, and the Hookah's Green, these are the greens that are on the list, and this is not so much, I think, and I think you don't need that many greens because you can easily mix it with blue and yellow. Just the Viridian Green is a very, I would say, a very special green, and you can mix gorgeous turquoise with the Viridian Green and the cerulean blue, for example. I forgot to mention the color I've swatched just before. It was the Azo Green Yellow from VanGogh. This is not in the book, and the one I swatched right now was the Hookah's Green. It's the normal green from Rosa Gallery, but it looks like a Hookah's Green. And again, I missed to pull down my my paper, but I will do it immediately. And I am just swatching the Olive Green from Rosa Gallery. Olive green is also not on the list because this is a color you can easily mix yourself. The next two greens I'm adding are my favorite greens when it comes to green, and these are some I use without mixing anything into it. Of course, I often mix them, but I also use them sometimes without mixing, and these are the granulating colors from VanGogh. It's the Dusk Yellow and the Dusk Green. Also not on the list in the book is the quinacridone gold, but it's one of my favorite colors. It's super transparent and it's my go-to yellow. I normally don't use many yellows. I prefer the quinacridone gold, and it's from Sennelier. It's my only color I have from the Sennelier. And of course on the list in the book is one of the standard colors. It's the yellow ochre, and this one is from Mijello Mission Gold, and this one is my favorite. Rosa Gallery has one, and I have also one from White Nights, and I don't like it very much. They are very opaque, and the one from Mijello is not so opaque. It's more transparent. And here I'm adding the raw sienna. It's a color I don't often use, but it's on the list in the book, so I decided to put it into the palette, and it's from Rosa Gallery. I feel it's a really weak color, but maybe this is their property and it has to be a bit weak. The next color is burnt sienna. It's one of my favorite colors. I have used it a lot, and it's the one from Rosa Gallery. And this is also in the list of the book. And here I'm adding the burnt umber. I had only a burnt umber from Mijello Mission Gold, and it's such a beautiful color. I think it's so vibrant and shiny, a really nice brown. And one color which is mentioned in the book is the Indian red, and I had no idea how this red is looking, and I googled it, and the only color I had was English red, but it's very opaque, and I decided to use madder brown as a substitute. Well, I'm not sure if this is okay, but I think I will go with it. And the last two colors are two black colors. I added the ivory black because it's mentioned in the book. Normally I don't use it very often, and this is the one from Mijello. And the last one is the oxide black from VanGogh, and I have this one in my palette because it's super granulating, and that's a really beautiful color, and you can mix it with all the other colors to create granulating shades, and that's really nice. When my swatches are dry, I will take a photo with my camera and turn the photo into black and white, and then I will note down the tonal values of each color. That means I take note if a color is very light or more mid-tone or very dark. I also add the names from the list in the book to those colors that are not exactly the same color, and so I always know which colors to use when I recreate a recipe. And I also give each a color, a green dot, so I know that this is one from the book. And the reason why I take note of the tonal value is when you do a painting or when you color in a stamped image, for example, it's always important not to use only colors with the same tonal value because it looks less interesting. So it's always good to pick one from each, I would say. I have numbers from 1 to 5, and then I pick maybe 3 colors, and I would use a 1 or a 2, a 3 or a 4, and a 5. And so I get a biggest range of values, and that makes a picture interesting. Yes, and this was my swatching video. I've never done such a video before because I thought it isn't interesting because it doesn't teach a technique or such. So I hope you enjoyed it and maybe you got a little bit inspired to create your own palette. I wish you a wonderful day. Bye!